What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show presented by Sleeper. Today, the Portland Trail Blazers have their 5-game winning streak snapped as they lose to the New York Knicks 123-114. This was a close competitive game against one of the Eastern Conference's best teams, and the Blazers played competitive, but this loss could mean a little bit more than just a loss in the loss column as Deni Avdija goes down with a back injury late, possibly stemming from him getting in a car accident a couple of days ago, as was reported on social media. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what went right in this game. We'll talk about what went wrong, and hopefully this injury to Deni Avdija is not serious, as if it is, that it has a chance of derailing this season that the Blazers have been on a good run recently. Eric, what's going on, man? Big win by our Niners earlier today, but then kind of the wind taken out of our sails with the Deni injury and the tough loss. New York pulled away late. The Blazers were up 104-103. I forget how much time was left, but then the Knicks basically played perfect basketball from there on out, made every shot, and this was a rough one to lose, and then especially with the injury late to Deni.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty competitive game. The Blazers found themselves getting down 6 to 10 points a lot in this game, and then managed to fight back pretty much every time until late in that fourth quarter. The Knicks hit 4 straight threes on 4 possessions and kind of iced the game there. It's tough to win in the clutch when you give up 12 points on 4 possessions. And it wasn't like terrible defense or anything. It's just they just hit shots, and then we scored a couple times and had a chance to maybe get a stop. And Josh Hart had this little runner that bounces off the back rim and dies and goes in. And then the Deni injury is much bigger deal if it's serious than anything that happened in this one particular game. I don't know if you caught the post game with Thiago. It was a very short, brief one, but they asked him right away about Deni's status, and he said basically you never know right away, but that it did seem like he was concerned about it. So
He's not
what you want to hear if you right after the game. Yeah,
he's not gonna know much more than what we know. So I know. Yeah, it's
like you could tell he seemed a little worried about it.
I mean, anybody should be worried about it. That's your best player, all-star caliber player who has carried your team, is the only reason your team isn't 15 games above 500. Yeah, he should absolutely be worried about it, but I wouldn't expect him to know much more than we know. Outside of, Deni was grabbing at it during this game, so maybe he kind of knew about that going in, but strained back muscle, pulled back muscle is like the most likely thing. I don't know how much time that takes to heal. But
we saw Chris Murray now. Are we just gonna get matching injuries all the time for the rest of eternity now? Just like one person hurts his back, so multiple people have to hurt their back now.
Yeah, hopefully not, man. Hopefully not. I mean, obviously you're gonna be worried. It's an all-star caliber player. It's by far the best player on this team, and without him, the Blazers would have a really, really rough road ahead. I think we would miss him pretty quickly, and I think it would be pretty obvious how much better this team is with him if he misses any sort of time. He's one of the league leaders in on-off numbers, where the Blazers play that much better with Deni Avdija on the court compared to off the floor. We've had plenty of post games where we've taken a look at the plus minus, and Deni's a plus 20, and the team wins by 3. Deni has carried this team, and it's a little bit, I don't know if ironic's the right word, but Deni's absolutely carried this team on his back, and now his back goes out. So hopefully it's nothing serious. This was the type of loss too. Could live with this loss. They made some plays down the stretch. You're playing against a healthy elite team in the East, and you had a lead late in this game. And so this was the type of loss where would have had no issues with this loss, but that is going to be the dark cloud that overshadows this until we get some news. It's frustrating because Drew returns today. He was on a heavy minutes restriction, and he was obviously a bit rusty. He has to work himself back into game shape, but it was like, okay, we finally got somebody back. So if the result of this is we get somebody back, but then we lose our best player, man, it's just really, really kind of heartbreaking and frustrating as a Blazer fan to have so many players deal with so many injuries constantly over and over again. And, you know, we're missing Jeremy Grant. We're missing Scoot Henderson. We're missing Blake Wesley, Matisse Thybulle. Now we're without Chris Murray, and we finally get Drew Holiday back, and then Deni's dealing with something. Like, it just seems like every player on this team at this point is dealing with something or has had to deal with something this season. And at some point, I would just like for this team to be healthy. You know, it's
right.
As a Niners fan, man, like both my teams are just cursed by injury. In case you guys don't know, the Niners Hall of Fame tight end, best tight end in the league, in my opinion, he tore his Achilles today in their playoff game, and they already lost their two best defensive players from this year. Like, I don't know how they won that game, but you know, next man up mentality, that's kind of what it is in sports. But personally, I'm just getting tired of injuries on my teams where my teams just get freaking decimated. And I'm sure you can speak to that, you being a Niner fan and a Blazer fan as well. It gets frustrating not to see your team at full strength, but then especially when it's somebody like Deni who's been playing so well, hopefully it's nothing serious. But I do have to wonder if it's from the car accident that he reportedly got into a couple days ago.
Why don't you update everyone on that hasn't heard about that?
Yeah, so this was, let's see here, Thursday, I guess, because it was in between the Rockets games. Somebody ran a red light and hit the car that Deni was in. So he seemed fine last game, but he has been playing an insane amount of minutes, and you have to wonder if this is something that if he hurt his back in that accident and maybe didn't realize it, or maybe it's, you know, he hurt it enough where then playing with it caused it to get worse. It could be completely unrelated, but normally in car accidents, that's one of the things that you'll have an issue with is your back. So have to wonder if that's part of the reason why he suffered this injury.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully it's just a little tweak or something and he'll be fine. But yeah, it doesn't look good when there's no contact and you go immediately running off the court.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. I don't know. Hopefully it's just a pulled back muscle, you know. I've done that before, and it can be kind of debilitating for a day or two, and then it's fine. I used to struggle with my lower back a lot, just pulling muscle. It was always the same muscle. It's not a good feeling, but I have a feeling Deni's is worse given the way he reacted. So I don't know. Hopefully it's something that can heal up soon because this team clearly needs him. So we'll give our thoughts, obviously, once we get an update. But at this point, we can just sit here and speculate, and we do have a game to break down. So
yeah. And for the record, anyone, if there is an update and we don't happen to see it right away, just please let us know in chat. We'll try to get everyone updated as soon as we hear something. But the Blazers are notorious for not giving much information, so doubt we'll hear too much tonight about what happened.
Yeah. Anyway, here are the team stats. Blazers, you look at the turnovers, they lost that battle. You look at the fouls, the Blazers didn't foul in this game. Only 8 fouls. That has to be a season low. They took care of things in that department. But once again, the defensive glass is a bit of a problem. 13 offensive rebounds to only 7 for the Blazers. The Blazers are the second best offensive rebounding team, but when they don't win that battle, it's pretty rough, especially when the other team's making more shots. They have less available offensive rebounds. It's kind of crazy how the Blazers didn't send them to the line at all, but they go 37% from 3. So that's a stark difference from the Rockets game. So we just saw where the Rockets went 22% from 3 in both games. But they got decent shooters and they hit some tough contested shots. Like sometimes that's going to happen. Now, The start of this game, I don't really understand going into the game like we're just going to let Josh Hart shoot, considering he's shooting 38% from three, and he starts 3 for 4 from three. He's been shooting the ball well this year, and the Blazers went into this game letting him shoot wide open threes. Did not understand that.
Well, the only thing I could think of is he had missed, I think, 6 games prior to this one. It was questionable coming in, so maybe they wanted to see if he was just rusty or not. I don't mind that strategy, but once he hits 2 out of 3, like you have to adjust a little bit, and I felt like they were a little too slow to make that adjustment.
Even if he's rusty, I don't like allowing solid to good NBA shooters just have all day to shoot a completely wide open 3. I don't like that as part of the game plan. You should be able to be good enough defensively where you shouldn't have to concede that. And they have been playing good defense. So going into the game with the idea that you're going to concede that to him, I don't understand. If it's a Men Thompson, sure, absolutely. He's shooting like 20% from 3. But a guy that's shooting upper 30s% from 3, I mean, he might be the best percentage three-point shooter on the Blazers. So, if you're going to allow him to shoot that shot, I don't understand how other games where you don't make threes, you can sit here and say we missed good shots. Mm-hmm. When Josh Hart, on a percentage basis, might be the best three-point shooter on this team. So, is that a bad shot to have a guy that is in the upper 30s shooting wide open threes? No, that's not a bad shot. That's a great shot, and they showed why that was a great shot. He made 3 of 4. So I just don't like conceding something that's a high-quality shot at the start of games. I understand putting Klingon on him, but Klingon has to get out on him. But it was obvious. People maybe blame Klingon for this, but it was obvious that the Blazers, by design, were letting him shoot wide open threes.
Well, that's been a strategy in several games. You mentioned him at Thompson to put Klingon on some of the lesser shooters of another team for some possessions, and then let him just play in the paint and not have to go out. And they clearly did not want Klingon to be guarding Cat in this game. When Mitchell Robinson was in, they kind of shifted it. Yeah. But the fact that they started Cat at center instead of Mitchell Robinson in this one, I think the Blazers clearly thought it was a better option to just let Hart beat them than to have Klingon have to come out on Cat. And that decision came out to hurt him in this game.
Yeah, for sure. But you don't shoot well from 3. It's funny because during the broadcast they brought up a graphic where it says if the Blazers shoot at least 30% from 3, they're like 18-8 or 18-9.
Yeah, something like that.
And it's kind of like, of course, when you make more shots, you're more likely to win. So, of course, your record is going to be better if you shoot a higher percentage from 3. That's just obvious. But the fact that it's just 30%, the Blazers shoot 30% from 3, and they are 18-9. Well, now 18-10 after this game. They shot 31% from 3. But that just shows, I think, the potential of this team if you could get better shooting around this core. Because you're talking about one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the league, and 30% is not a high bar to hit. 30% would still be the worst three-point percentage on average in the league. So the Blazers have been making more threes lately. That's why they've been in some of these games. And this is the type of game where you make a couple more threes, maybe you win it down the stretch because you're not pressing, you're not giving up some easy buckets, etc. Like, you have the momentum, you can play it a little bit differently. And this is just one of those games where they made those extra couple of threes. The Blazers didn't. They shot well inside the arc, 51% from the field with 37% from 3. So I don't know what their 2-point percentage is, but probably around 60-ish, maybe above that. But you didn't send them to the free throw line. So didn't send them to the free throw line. If you could just grab a defensive rebound a little bit more off and close out some of these defensive stops that you do get, especially when they make more than half their shots, and then make a couple more threes. It's kind of the difference in a game like this. But I do feel like the back-breaking play that could have been a momentum play was Caleb Love getting that steal on Jalen Brunson, and then us not being able to keep that possession and the ball being thrown straight to a Nick, and then they make a 3. And then we come down, turn it over, come back, they make another 3. And all of a sudden we're down 5 and they have all the momentum, and then they close out the game. Like, the Blazers were up 1 when he dove on the floor. That was a great defensive stop. So this isn't a critique of him because that was a great defensive stop, and he's on the floor, and he tries to pass it to a teammate, and he just doesn't execute that part of it. But that was one of those plays where, like, if you can just hang on to possession there, maybe call a timeout there. I don't know. But if you can just hang on to the possession there and you're up one with some momentum, I feel like this game could have went completely differently as well. So every loss like this, there's always a couple of those plays to look back onto, like, man, what if we just made this play or that play? Like, would that have swung momentum? Would the ending have been completely differently? But a lot of those plays had been going in the Blazers' way recently. This was just one of those games where it kind of finally swung back the other way, and it wasn't in the Blazers' favor.
Yeah, absolutely. That play, man, that was brutal. He gets the steal, gets on the floor. Um, he has two guys seemingly to pass to right in the middle of the court, and he just launches it. And once again, like you said, I'm not blaming him necessarily. It was a hustle play. He's got to make a quick throw before Jalen jumps back on the ball. But man, yeah, that play goes our way. We get the ball going the other way, maybe on a fast break. We had the Knicks in the penalty with over 9 minutes or around 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and had seemingly all the momentum, and then just felt like we didn't really take advantage of that fact very much. Didn't really get to the line much in that fourth quarter until I think Sharp got 2 free throws near the very end. But like until that, we really didn't do a good job of attacking once they got into the penalty.
Yeah, agreed. They have big, lengthy wing defenders, though, that kind of make it tough to beat them on the perimeter. Deni, I think some of it was he was definitely laboring during this game, but he had some good moments getting downhill, but they gave him a little bit of fits. Like, this wasn't a team that he was going to drop 40 against, and you saw they scramble really well. So there's some times where Portland was able to get them scrambling a bit and weren't able to take advantage. I think the play where, like, Sharp passed up a 3, drove, kicked out to Caleb Love in the corner. He could have shot a 3, but then they run out on him fast enough where he then puts the ball on the floor and kicks it back to Sharp in the opposite corner, and then the Blazers, Sharp caught it. They ran him to the side, so he had to take a dribble to the side and shoot that, and that made that a tougher 3, and he missed it. Like, that's a perfect example of, maybe you had opportunities for catch-and-shoot threes, but they're flying out on you. Even though they're in rotation, they're flying out on you and making you put the ball on the floor, making you take a tougher 3 in the end. Like, those are the little defensive things where if you're giving 80% effort, it's a wide-open 3, but you give 100% effort, you fly out on those corner shooters and make them make a decision or make them dribble to the side and shoot a tougher 3. That can be the difference at the end of a game. So I was impressed with the way the Knicks scrambled during this game. It's a really good defensive team. When teams can't attack Cat, like that's kind of the Achilles heel of their defense is Karl Anthony Towns. But it felt like the Blazers, they did get downhill a bit. They did get to the free throw line a bit. But collectively as a team, they did a good job kind of helping Cat at the rim, forcing stuff out, and then running out to the three-point line.
Yeah, it's nice to have Hart, Anunoby, and Bridges, huh? Like three quality perimeter guys that just are physical and don't let you get a lot of those drives. I mean, I was actually kind of surprised seeing that Deni had 25 in this one, despite how they were guarding him. So still puts up numbers, but yeah, it just wasn't quite as easy as it had been the last few games. I know they double teamed Deni the last game with Houston, and he saw some double teams tonight too. But yeah, there's just a little bit more physical, and also I don't know if this was the case necessarily, but I was wondering during the game, and I'd love to hear your thoughts too, when players and the media start talking about the fouls and Deni get into the line, like we saw 2 games ago with Tari Eason after the game, blaming the Zebras for losing that game, and then Deni makes some. I mean, I thought Deni kind of squashed that last game, but I had to wonder if the refs were like kind of hesitant to call close fouls on Deni, because there was a couple times he drove, especially early in this game, where I felt like it was it was like a clear foul, and Deni just could not get a call. And I have to wonder if just the refs getting called out, maybe even like subconsciously, just lets them hesitate to call as many fouls on him. I don't know if you thought the same way during this game.
Well, I think there was some stuff that should have gone his way that didn't. But also, I mean, do the refs even hear Tari Eason's comments? Like, do they hear Deni's comments? Like, do they really pay attention to this stuff? You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, at the end of the day, he shot 10 free throws. So it's not like he didn't get to the line. So I think for us, like hearing these comments and then seeing it, we're going to be looking like, oh, is it ref Deni differently? But I feel like that's just more so the fan side of things where these refs aren't. I mean, maybe they are hearing these comments, but I don't really think in the course of a game they're like thinking about what Tari Eason said or how Deni Avdija responded to him.
Well, I do know that teams, including the Blazers, pretty much every team does submit plays to the league to like question why certain things aren't being called or why things are being called a certain way. And we also know that, I mean, there's a last 2-minute report if the game's within the last 5 minutes. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe most of those reports are in favor of Deni. Like they all say they're the correct calls. So I wouldn't think that would be the reason. But I definitely think that they've got to be hearing something about it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. It's a fair question for sure. I think the one thing in this game was just you got to find a way to make more threes. New York's one of the worst 3-point defending teams in the league. They're 5th worst in opponent 3-point percentage. Opponents shoot on average 37.2% from 3 against the Knicks. That's a couple made threes in this game, like I said earlier, that could be the difference in a game like this. And when you look at some of the 3-point shooting, it's the starters. The bench goes 8 for 17 from 3. Robert Williams made a 3. He was 1 for 1 from 3. Drew Holiday was 2 for 4. Caleb Love was 5 for 12. All right, so those guys go 8 for 17. The starters went 4 for 22. Toumani Camara, 1 for 5. Really rough game from him offensively today. I thought he did a lot of good defensive stuff in this game. I feel like he's starting to get closer to what he was last year defensively, which is a good sign. And he's had some big offensive games lately, but today was kind of not really a factor on that end of the floor. And I feel like this game, I did say this going in, but like in hindsight, who has the best offensive game between Josh Hart and Toumani Camara kind of feels like a big difference maker in this one, where Josh Hart goes 3 for 5 from 3. He has 6 assists. He has a really good offensive game, and then Toumani's 1 for 5. That's kind of and it's not even like they were guarding each other, but those are kind of like the X factor guys that are maybe the last option in the starting lineup offensively or the 4th option in the starting lineup offensively. And Josh Hart stepped up to Toumani Camara didn't. Deni was 1 for 5 from 3. Klingon was 0 for 2 from 3, so that's back-to-back 0 for games from Klingon from 3. Shaedon Sharpe was 1 for 6. Sidi Sissoko was 1 for 4. I thought he took a couple of aggressive threes in the first half in this game that I wasn't a big fan of.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so starters just did not shoot the 3-ball well. I thought they got some okay threes. They didn't, even if they shot a tough 3 or a open 3, it didn't really matter. They did not convert from there. So we'll get into players once we take a look at the box score, but this is a team that they have to overreact to help Cat at the rim, especially without Mitchell Robinson in the game. So this is the type of team where if you can just play downhill, get to the rim, and take advantage of Cat and can do that effectively, you're going to have a solid offensive night. But when they're over-rotating to help the rim, that's when you got to kick out and make threes. And that's, I think, part of the reason why they're one of the worst 3-point defending teams in the league is they have to kind of pack the paint a little bit because they don't have great rim protection with Karl-Anthony Towns at the center spot. And the way you take advantage of a team that's trying to compensate for that is packing the paint a little bit more, is kicking out. You have more open looks. It felt like at times during this game, the Blazers could have shot a somewhat open 3 and kind of pump faked, like attacked the closeout, but didn't really do anything with it. So if you're going to have them if you're going to have them pack in the paint and you're going to kick out, you either got to shoot and knock down open threes, or you got to aggressively attack the closeout and create another rotation and create something somewhere. It can't be, oh, we're going to pump fake the three, we're going to run off the line, and then we're going to kind of like half-heartedly dribble to 15 feet, but let the defender stay in the play, and then we're going to back it out and reset the offense. When you get them caught scrambling and packing the paint and then overextending back out, that's when you really have to be aggressive and take advantage of that. And I felt like the Blazers missed a couple opportunities there today, but then also they didn't do a good enough job of knocking down those threes.
Yeah, and that's why when Caleb Love came in the first time, I think he hit two. I don't know if it was his first 2 threes, but he hit 2 threes in his first couple minutes in the game. And it kind of, the Blazers were, I want to say they're down 6 or something at a timeout early in this game. And he kind of came in and provided that punch that had been missing since then. I thought he was fantastic in that stint. Had a couple of nice drive and dump offs to Klingon as well. And had a couple lob passes to Sharp in the first half. Also, I just thought he came in and provided that thing that you say was missing from the starting lineup. It's just a shame that none of the starters provided that today.
Yeah, 100% agreed. So the Knicks' largest lead was 11. That was late. Blazers' largest lead was 3. Knicks led 79% of this game. Fast break points. I do like that Portland got 25 fast break points. Mm-hmm. That's a good number, and the foul number. So the Blazers did some things right in this game, but can't pick up the win. Is there anything else that kind of stood out schematically from this game? I know Portland ran a decent amount of the 3-2, your favorite zone coverage. Anything else that really stood out to you, like schematically?
I thought schematically they did try to double Brunson a lot near half court. I thought they did a pretty good job sometimes of like rotating out of it, but there were a few times where one of the two guys would just, or both would just stand there after the pass and wouldn't hustle back to someone else. And I don't feel like you can do that. You can't get away with trapping if they're going to get out of it and then you're just going to stand there and not hustle back to a rotation. But I thought, it did make him a little uncomfortable. He still ends up with a pretty good game, but I did like that they at least tried to get the ball out of his hands. Unfortunately for them, his teammates just made shots down the stretch, and it didn't really matter. But I did kind of like the game plan of trying to make someone else beat them, including Josh Hart with those threes we mentioned at the beginning of the show, but just did not work out for them. And at some point, you got to kind of switch back to your base defense that has been so good for you these last couple weeks.
Yeah, I almost think this team is a little better letting the star get his. Because it seems like no matter what they do, they cannot slow down opposing stars. No matter what they try. I mean, Brunson had 26, 8, and 6 in this game, which is kind of close to his averages, but like they didn't slow him down per se in a game like this. And some of it was, broken plays, transition. He hits tough threes. A lot of credit goes to him. There's a reason why he's one of the best offensive players in the league. But like kind of the overall point is the Blazers have had some good defensive nights where opposing stars have had big games. I mean, the most recent examples of that is Kevin Durant in those Houston games. The thing is, though, they were making Amen Thompson shoot threes. They were making Jabari Smith, after he was struggling, he shot 10 threes in that last game against Houston. He missed all 10, and he's like a 37% three-point shooter. But they didn't go into the game like, okay, here, have wide-open threes. Have wide-open threes, and we'll see if you can get a rhythm, and then we'll guard you. It was more so like, all right, we're going to guard these. We're going to rotate off of a man. We're going to rotate off of a Kogi when we need to help inside the paint. But it was like a little bit more thoughtful than just like, okay, Hart, shoot wide open threes. Like if you start hitting them, then we're going to have to guard you, and then we're going to have to figure things out. So I think that's kind of a little bit of the differences. The Blazers maybe should have went into this game like, all right, if Jalen Brunson gets 35, if other players don't catch a rhythm, then maybe you have a better defensive night. Because the last thing you want to do is let Jalen Brunson have his normal, efficient, high-scoring night, but then let other guys catch a rhythm because you're trying to take him out of the game, failing to take him out of the game, but then you're giving up open shots to other players as well. So it's just kind of like a philosophy thing. Like, how does Portland want to guard teams like this? They're a tough guard in general. They're a really tough team to beat. They're the fourth best offense in the league for a reason. But I'm almost more aligned with try not to let the other guys get a rhythm and kill you throughout a game, because no matter what you seem to try and do, opposing stars this season have gone off regardless.
Yep. B Skrill says the Knicks have 5 All-Stars and are well coached. They do not have 5 All-Stars. Sorry, man.
I don't know where you got that from, but no, they do not.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think you have to pick your poison, whether it's let role players try to beat you or let stars try to beat you, and or just contain everyone else and let the stars go off, is what I meant to say. And I feel like the Blazers have been kind of in that danger territory where you're letting both do it. But I mean, it's worked out, so it's hard to like argue with some of their success they've had recently. And I mean, the Knicks are a good 3-point shooting team, but if they just miss 1 or 2 of those threes and we hit 1 or 2, like you mentioned earlier, I mean, we could have very easily won this game. And that's, I don't know how you want to look at it. If you're an optimist, you can say, you know, we played them tough and had a chance to win, just didn't get it done tonight. We've been pretty good in close games recently. We're bound just by the percentages to eventually lose a close game. But you could also look at it like, man, they had an opportunity to get back to 500 tonight. It was right there for the taking and just didn't make enough plays.
Yep. I don't have a graphic ready for box score, but we can start talking about players. What do you think of Deni's game before he went out with the injury?
I mean, I thought he was okay in this game. Still trying to be aggressive despite the extra attention. You know, shot pretty good from the field outside of the 3-point line. But as you mentioned, all the starters shot like crap from 3, so can't really put that on one person. But yeah, I mean, you know, he did have some bad turnovers, as did Sharp, as we'll talk about. But I don't know. I thought it was a pretty. I don't know if. See, this is going to sound like an insult, but it was a pretty average Deni game. I don't think that's like a bad thing, but
the thing is, it was technically a below average Deni game.
No, I know, but it like, you know, I mean, he might be a little closer to average if he plays those last couple minutes, but
yeah, it's a tough. I don't know. Like, I know the Knicks are rated 20th defensively in adjusted defensive rating, but they got 2 big wings in McHale and OG that can really defend. So this wasn't the easiest matchup for him, in my opinion. But yeah, 25 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. That's below his season averages at all those. You know what I mean? Going into the season, like, we would have been happy if, like, this is a normal Deni game. We would have been happy with that. But that's a little below his season averages in every statistical category. That's just how good he's been. So yeah, the turnovers, like, there's just a couple. The ones where he drives into a packed paint, draws a defense, and then has trouble like kicking it out to an open player because he's getting swarmed. Like, those turnovers I can live with because he has to do that, and the amount of times he drives results in a lot of good for this team. So that to me is a byproduct of having to do that constantly. The ones where he's like skipping the ball to Sharp and just like throws it wide of him and throws it out of bounds. Those are the ones where he needs to get a little
careless.
Yeah, like those are the ones where you can kind of be like, okay, he needs to be a little less careless and a little just more sharp in that regard with just some of the unforced turnovers, so to say. So, He's struggled a little bit with those lately. Would like to see him continue to. Well, I mean, not even continue because he's always kind of struggled with these, and it's been a little bit up and down. But just be sharp. If you turn over the ball because you drive and you draw 3 defenders and try and make a play, like cool. But when you're swinging the ball to Sharp on the wing and he's being denied, like let him get into the guy and V cut. You know, like you don't have to force the ball to a guy being denied. There's no contact between him and the defender, so it's a really tough pass to make. Let the receiver do the work of V cutting. You know, there's just like little basic stuff that he is, I think, better than that he can clean up.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, we talked about at times the lack of off-ball movement, and so I kind of want him to just be stronger with the ball. He's tall enough to where he doesn't have to like get rid of it right away, even if he's getting extra attention. So he can kind of like stop with the ball, hold it strong, and kind of survey the floor and let people move around a little bit, like you mentioned, a V cut, or just if Shea goes back door there and it's open, you can pass to him there. You don't have to always pass to them going away from the hoop like we've talked about for a couple of years now. It's like seemingly the Blazers don't understand that concept sometimes of like getting momentum towards the hoop instead of away from it with some of these passes. Or even like you mentioned, just a simple V cut allows you to get a little bit of space. So if you catch the ball and you're open, it's more of like a catch and shoot 3 than having to break someone down off the dribble. And a lot of those little things are the difference between a good possession and a bad possession.
Yeah, I will say, like, Sharp needs to sometimes do a better job on the perimeter of getting into the defender and then separating to catch passes. Mm-hmm. There is moments where he just kind of stands out there on the perimeter and lets himself be denied. And that's just like one of like the little detailed things about Sharp that he could do better. Because there's times where he just lets the guy deny him, isn't really looking to back cut, will kind of like step away from the defender when he's being denied. But if you're being denied, you don't want to step away and catch the ball 35 feet away from the rim. Also, the defender can match you and maintain that denial. You need to get into them first to then separate, and you catch the ball in a much better spot. And that's something I think Sharp needs to do a little bit more of. So we can talk about him next if you want to.
Yeah, well, I want to say one more thing about Deni. So I kind of had this like foreshadowing moment because he comes in at the beginning of the fourth quarter and I instantly thought, is he going to play the whole fourth quarter? Because he would have been at over 40 minutes then in this game. And if he was in that car accident and his back was kind of bothering him last game or whatever, I think it's kind of crazy to play him in the fourth quarter for 12 straight minutes. I do think that, I mean, like obviously we need Deni on the floor as much as possible, but we also can't, I'm not saying that's what led to him getting injured, but he's been playing some major minutes. And I don't really like with how hard he's having to work for some of these possessions, him coming in and having to play 12 straight minutes in the fourth quarter. I think they need to try to find a little bit of a mix of a rotation to not have that happen. Hopefully he's healthy enough to continue playing. So we do this, but I think we do have to get a little bit of a break for him to not have to do as much as he does on the court, but also have to play as many minutes. Now, some of that might, ease up with just getting some guys healthy that can actually play. But I just thought, oh man, is he going to play the whole fourth quarter? And then of course he gets hurt. I would rather him not have to play 12 minutes at the end of the game. Like maybe if it's the first quarter or something, it's when you're a little fresher, it's different. But just seeing far too many injuries late in a game or in overtime or something with the Blazers to feel comfortable with how many minutes he's playing and having to do that in the fourth quarter of a physical game.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'd rather it be a back than a knee. You know what I mean? Until we know what the deal is.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm not too worried about like long term. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
but in the short term, if he misses some games, it's going to hurt, And I can only sit here and speculate as I've only seen what you guys have seen. But there's worse injuries to worry about at this point in time. If it was he went down with a knee, then I'd be kind of freaking out a little bit.
Well, did you see what the Blazers said about the Chris Murray injury?
Yeah.
They officially said they had to run tests on him or something after the Utah game, and then still listed him doubtful, not out.
Yeah.
They said they diagnosed him with a lumbar strain or whatever and would be out, or they'll let us know when appropriate again. But I hate that word. But
no, I'd much rather them say he's out indefinitely than give us 1 to 2 weeks and then it's 8 weeks.
For sure. But yeah, so I don't know, man. I wonder how they're gonna handle the news of his injury or something, because obviously a lot more people care about him right now than anyone else on the team, but specifically Chris Murray. Like, it's one thing to do that with Chris, but I don't know. They're gonna get a pretty massive uproar if they lead all these Deni fans astray with how injured he is right now, or if they kind of play it close to the vest. So it'd be interesting to see how they play it and what kind of backlash they get if they do play it like they've been playing it with injuries.
Yeah. So I just I just searched, and it says most individuals with I can't talk. I assume this is what it is with Deni, but I don't know. Speculation. But most individuals with a lumbar sprain can expect to see improvement within about 2 weeks, with over 90% recovery fully within a month.
Yeah.
So
because that's what so some people look that up with the Chris Murray diagnosis, and it was typically 1 to 2 on the lower end and 4 weeks on the higher end of that type of injury. So
but also, is a lumbar strain is different from a lumbar sprain or something like that?
I don't know. We don't even know what that was. Hopefully it's just I mean, you can tweak your back and be fine within a couple days. You can
like I've tweaked it where it's like hurts to walk and like is like hard to stand up on my own, and then been fine 2 days later, where it's like a little sore but I could move and I can play. So the funny thing is, Tori just provided more useful information than we'll ever get from the Blazers all season. Google, the internet is your friend when you can't trust the Portland Trail Blazers to give you a reasonable reevaluation timeline or return to play timeline. So finally got Drew back. That was cool, but hopefully Deni is. You know what I almost said? I said hopefully Deni is day to day, but that means he would be out for a month.
So Hyken just tweeted 4 minutes ago. He said Deni is obviously in a lot of pain and has his entire lower back wrapped with an ice bag, but he said it's nothing major and doesn't think he'll be out too long. And quote, "If I can walk 2 feet, I'm going to play." Drew, meanwhile, says his calf feels fine after playing today.
See, I love Deni's attitude, but also like it needs to heal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we
can't be running him out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's the same thing Dame would say. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta protect the athlete from themselves a little bit.
If this is a playoff game and you can walk and you want to have that attitude, absolutely. But I mean, we're in the middle of the regular season.
Yeah.
We do have a couple game. With this recent stretch, we've kind of separated from worrying about falling out of the play-in race, at least for a couple games. And so I think the smart thing to do would be to not risk anything right now, in hopes that he can come back sooner then and be okay. Man, I love that attitude considering our 49ers have a guy, Ricky Pearsall, who's just decided he didn't want to play the last 2 weeks with his injury in the two of the biggest games of the season. That guy, man, I love that. I love that energy from Deni compared to that guy, man. I can't even try and make a play or try to give it a go.
The Niners and their receivers, man.
Yeah.
The Niners and their receivers, man. Meanwhile, you got a dude who like broke his ankle earlier in the season that's talking about trying to return in the playoffs. Yeah. So yeah, I do love that attitude. It's just, this is not good timing, man, because the next game is one of the biggest games left this season. It's against the Warriors. The Blazers, of course, are trying to catch them for the 8th seed and are pretty close and have the tiebreaker. This game means so much for trying to pass them. Because if you're 2 games back, if you lose, you're 3 games back. If you win, you're 1 game back. It's the difference of 2 games at the end of the year. This upcoming game is so important, and I would not expect Deni to play in this game. It sucks, too, because it's a nationally televised NBC game. Yeah, it's a real bummer. It's not the best timing.
Yeah. Best news we could get is that he wakes up tomorrow feeling fine, and that it was just a minor scare, and he's all right. But yeah, never know with the back. It's one of those things that like you can, if you don't want to play or you don't want to go to work or something, you can just say you have a back injury, and no one can really prove it or say otherwise. Yeah. That's why I like Deni's attitude about it, because a lot of players would. Or just people in general would use that as an excuse to be out like a month and not really do anything and be lazy. So hopefully with Deni knowing that he's not that type of person, if he's okay at some point, he's going to play.
Yeah. Also, the days of the week, once again, are wrong on this. The Warriors game is Tuesday. I still need to fix that. Yeah, I like the Tuesday 8 p.m. tip-off time because it's after Rec League. Rec League ends at 8, so I like the late tip-off time. But yeah, I mean, like, selfishly, I'm hoping he can play next game. That's a huge game. But I would not be confident in that being a possibility. We'll see, though.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get an update tomorrow on the injury report for the following game. And yeah, I don't know how long Drew Holiday is going to have a minutes restriction, but gonna maybe need him back playing more minutes.
So here's the issue. We have, every other day the next 2 games, but then we have those 3 straight back-to-backs we talked about last stream. I'm assuming Drew and Rob will not play on at least in one of all of those 2. So we already know in the next couple weeks that Drew and Rob will, at the very minimum, will miss 3 games. That's the only bad thing about having so many back-to-backs in a row.
Yeah. Agreed. What did you think of Shea today?
I mean, Shea was okay. I like that he got some lob opportunities in the first half. Obviously, the 4 turnovers weren't good. Just one of those. I mean, he ends up with 23. I thought it was an okay game. Shoots over 50% from the field, gets some rebounds. Doesn't have the positive assist to turnover ratio, but still 3 assists is a lot better than some games this season. And then I did like in the second quarter, I think it was, where he had a couple of nice steals on transitions once again. He's been really good at that lately. And so it's nice to see him at least competing on the defensive end. I thought he was okay, short of, a couple of those turnovers being bad and a couple of shots once again being bad. But overall, pretty decent.
Yeah. Yeah, he made a couple decisions late that had me scratching my head that kind of drove me a little crazy. One was the pass that he caught in the air, and while he was in the air, he tried to throw behind the back pass towards half court to Drew.
Yeah, that one was bad.
Like, it was just a steal going the other way in an easy bucket. Like, that was what was he trying to? I mean, I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to get the ball to Drew, but like, the risk versus reward there was insane. It didn't
Well, it
seem
was
to me
like
like he was going out of bounds. And even if you're going out of bounds, you don't save it like that. You don't try that.
Yeah.
Like, that decision
Hart,
was insane to me.
Hart made a jump on the ball, but yeah, it was a bad decision to do that. I don't.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you got it.
Well, I was just going to talk about a different play. The other one was the play they had late where he was the one who switched out onto Josh Hart, and there was like 4 or 5 on the shot clock. And he switched out like he was hedging, even though it was an obvious switch between him and somebody that was similar sized. And he basically, do you know what play I'm talking about? It was the Hart ended up with the Hart floater that rolled in. The only reason Hart had that lane was because Sharp jumps so high on the switch that he just gives him a lane right to the rim. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. So
I don't know if it was that play or a play around that time, but he was one of the guys that was talking about that after double teaming. He just stood at the top of the 3-point line and never got back to someone else. And that, I think they ended up getting an open 3 on that one. So, definitely has to do a better job of flying around in those situations and not taking himself out of the play by jumping so high.
Yeah, like, there's just some defensive mistakes still that need to be cleaned up. Like, he's more competitive on the ball, and he's getting some steals and stuff. He had 2 steals in this game, playing passing lanes. So, like, people are super excited about that. Like, look at him. He's turning into a good defender. He still makes too many mistakes to be considered a positive defender, and it's progress. And like, he's meeting my standard that I had for him defensively this year. I did not have a high standard for him because of his struggles in the past. So the fact that it is better is definitely a good thing. But that doesn't change the reality that there's still some mistakes that are being made by a young player that need to get cleaned up a little bit. And it's just situational stuff. Like, I don't want to see him become another defender that's always, like, over pursuing passing lanes and he switches out on Josh Hart with 5 on the shot clock. Somebody that, in a one-on-one situation, Sharp should be able to contain and get a stop. And he's jumping out really high for some reason. Like, stuff like that is just a little bit frustrating. And then the turnovers are just frustrating turnovers because it just feels like a lot of unforced errors, his turnovers. Like, it's different than, he's driving into the paint, drawing a lot of defenders, and then trying to throw a kick-out pass, and it's getting tipped. It's like the play where he just drives right and just falls down and loses the ball. The play where he catches the ball and tries that behind-the-back pass to Drew. Like, it's just stuff where it's like, man, what are we doing? Like, there was the play where he drove into the middle of the paint on a pick and roll and had a defender on his back, but just, like, lost his dribble. He loses his dribble too much in the middle of the floor, like, trying to keep the pick and roll defender in jail, but just letting other players dig at him and dig at the ball, and he struggles at seeing them or something. It's weird. So there's just some unforced stuff that still needs to be cleaned up there. You know, he's talented. That's why he had 23 points tonight, 9 for 17. He had some really nice drives, really nice finishes. Got to the line a couple times, made all 4 of his free throws. Was 8 for 11 inside the arc. So the scoring was productive inside the arc. It was very productive inside the arc. The 3-point shooting, rough, 1 for 6. Don't like that. Some of the decision-making stuff was still not the best. So a bit of a mixed bag for him.
Yeah, it just sucks when your 2 main ball handlers both have that issue in games. And until – I mean, the games where they both had cleaner games, we've been pretty hard to defend and pretty hard to beat when we don't make those mistakes. And just got to clean it up a little bit. I did like you finally had a lob to Rob Will in this game, so at least
he had a couple nice passes in this game. The lob to Rob Will I loved because that was a mid range that I've seen him shoot before when he has a big behind both of the pick and roll defenders. I think it was a pick and roll. Where he has a big at the rim that he could lob the ball to. He's made a couple of nice interior passes lately, which is something that I was asking for. So I've been pleased with a couple of his passes the past couple of games. I just hope that he can continue to build upon that while cleaning up some of the turnovers.
Yeah, hopefully that's a sign of good things to come. At least he's I mean, it's a slow progression, but at least he's doing a couple of things that he wasn't doing earlier in the season. Despite still having some turnover problems.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I had 0 last game too. So
yeah,
I don't know. Hopefully it's not him going back to how he was.
Tamani, 11 points, 3 for 8 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3. He had a couple nice drives in this game. Had some nice defensive moments, but 1 for 5 from 3. Like, the Blazers needed him to step up and be more of a 3-point shooter, be more of a guy knocking down threes in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been one of the difference in some of the games they've won is him stepping up and hitting those shots, especially early. It keeps the defense honest like the whole game when you come out hitting some threes. He did hit. He got 2 corner threes really early in this game, made 1 of 2, and was hoping that would be a good sign to come. But then, I don't know, a guy who is spotting up for 3 and gets so many kickouts only hitting 1 3 towards the beginning of the game, that's never really going to quite cut it.
Yeah, agreed. Klingon, 8 points in 30 minutes, 8 boards. Had 2 blocks in 30 minutes. 0 for 2 from 3, though. I hope that this is just a little mini slump from 3 because I was having so much fun watching him knock down threes. In the last 2 games, went 0 for 4 and then 0 for 2. So hopefully that's not a sign of things to come there.
Yeah. Until it becomes like a 4 or 5 game stretch of bad shooting, I'm going to hope to think that the previous Donovan is a more sustainable, but yeah, definitely something we're going to have to monitor for a while. And I will say, at least, he's not firing 6 when he's not making them,
Yeah.
like at least he's like doing what he's supposed to do. And he started rolling a little bit more in this game.
Yeah.
Just the unfortunate part about this one was, we only had 7 offensive rebounds and he just couldn't quite. He had a couple of good offensive rebounds, but didn't quite affect the game that way like he usually does. And when you only shoot 31% from 3, there was a couple of them that he usually would get. And they were usually when Mitchell Robinson was in the game, and he just did a good job of boxing Donovan out and not letting him get there. So unfortunately, the Blazers have one of their worst shooting games in a while, and it coincides with a team that didn't let Donovan go crazy on the offensive rebounds either. So that combination I thought really hurt us tonight.
Yeah, didn't do the greatest job controlling the defensive glass as well. I said it last stream. I want to see him step up and do a better job controlling the defensive glass, but also I want to see perimeter guys help him out a little bit more and do a little better job getting a body on people so Klingon isn't having to contend with multiple offensive players to grab a defensive board.
Yep. I didn't think he was. He's been pretty good his last month or so, and I felt like he was a little slow tonight. There was a Josh Hart drive early in this game that he finished over him, and then someone else drove and finished over him early in this game as well, and just wasn't the usual Donovan where he's like affecting those shots. They were going right at him and converting, and but after that he did have a couple of blocks like you mentioned, but overall I just didn't think he deterred them enough from getting to the rim at points in this game.
Yeah, agreed. And then Sissoko, 28 minutes, had 5 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. He was a +3. We did outscore him with him on the court. He was the plus-minus leader last game as well. But just some of the 3-point shots he took early in this game, like contested looks, wasn't the biggest fan of.
Yeah, I agree. Don't like his shot selection sometime. And that one where he faked a pass out and then ended up spinning around and was wide open for a lay-in and smoked it. That
was a good decision. You just finished that. Like, just finger roll it straight into the rim. Like, that's a tough angle on a step through where you're like in line with the backboard to then try and bank that, because you're not going to be able to explode from a standstill step through the same way as a normal layup. So it's hard to get high enough and get the angle to like bank in that shot when you're underneath the backboard. It's much easier to just go up and lay it up straight into the rim in that scenario. So, I know you're always taught use your backboard on your layups. There's some layups that you shouldn't, and that was one of those. And you saw the way he smoked it. It's because he tried to go backboard.
Yeah, it's hard in that moment. Like he probably wasn't thinking because he was so wide open after that spin. But yeah, that was an unfortunate play. I will say at least this game, no turnovers. So that's good. 3 assists, no turnovers. We'll take that from him. And only had 2 fouls, so it wasn't like his usual game where he's getting the other team in a bonus tonight. Actually, I think he mentioned this earlier. Only 8 fouls total from the team. They did a tremendous job of not letting the Knicks beat us at the line. Just unfortunately, the Knicks hit a lot of threes and couldn't overcome that.
Yep. Moving on to the bench, Caleb Love, 21 points, 4 assists, 1 turnover, has another really good game. Was a minus 11, but I don't think that was due to him. He played some really good basketball today, especially the first half was an amazing first half. He had some really impressive passes, a beautiful dime to Robert Williams. You can tell the game's starting to slow down for him a little bit. Hit some contested jumpers, was 5 for 12 from 3, was 3 for 6 inside the arc. So a nice, efficient night from him. Gave the Blazers some efficient scoring, which they desperately needed. So he continues to play good basketball. And I don't know. I don't want to get into every single time this guy has a good game, people got to say something about Scoot, Yeah. I'll just say this. I had somebody say, look how Caleb Love's playing. Now we have to trade Scoot. The idea of we chose Scoot over Dame, okay? And then he's had 2 seasons, and last year he was much improved over season number 1 and has, in my opinion, still star potential, and he's still a couple years younger than Caleb Love. He's 3 years younger than Caleb Love, and does a lot of different stuff, and is a true point guard. The idea of selling low on him while he's injured because you have an undrafted rookie who's having a hot shooting stretch is kind of insane to me, but people are prisoners of the moment right now, and recently he's playing really, really good basketball, so those narratives are going to happen, but I just think it's kind of silly. But he played a great game today.
Yeah, I agree. It can be silly at times, but yeah, I mean, the only times I don't really like lately is when he shoots the off the dribble step back threes. I felt like he took a couple of bad ones in the first half, but short of that, man, he was awesome in the first half. Came in, he's been knocking down the open 3 more consistently, and that's been nice to see. I've talked about this, but it really does seem like he's playing more like a player to come in and do a job versus I'm the star like he's always played. And that little adjustment in mindset, I think that's been huge. So when he diverts back to the old school, I'm going to shoot this Dame type shot, I don't like that. But when he just plays within the offense, he's been really good. And him putting the ball on the floor, those 2 passes he made in the first half, that was good stuff, man. If you're hitting a 3 and they have to run out and chase you on that line and you can drive and make those kind of passes, that's exactly what we need out of Caleb Love. And then to combine that with how he's competing on the defensive end, he's just been really solid. And I thought he came in and was the difference in us not getting blown out in the first half because the starters weren't doing great. And, I just thought he really played well in the first half especially.
Yep. I like the passes he's thrown lately. The play to Robert Williams was such a nice pass. He's doing a good job of hitting the dump-off guy. It's kind of the pass that I wish Shea would throw more. And Shea threw one to Young last game, and Shea had that lob to Robert Williams. But with the way Shea drives, Eric, he draws multiple guys, and he draws the rim protector all the time because the rim protector has to come over with how athletic he is, and we see how he'll try and force stuff against that rim protector. But that rim protector's leaving someone. And Caleb Love, when he got downhill and got into the paint today, when he drew that rim protector, he hit the big a couple of times. He hit Clingan for one, he hit Robert Williams for one. That's the easy, simple play. And that's just something, honestly, for Sharp to look at Caleb Love, which is crazy to me because Caleb Love was not known as a passer at all. But that's he's made some good reads this season. He's flashed that plus flashed some defense, which is more than I expected. So,
and if we can get out on the break and he can throw those half court lobs, like that's another element we don't really have with all these injuries. So it was nice to see him throw it up to Shea a couple times too.
yeah, exactly. Robert Will had a good game. Was a plus 15 in 16 minutes, 5 for 5 from the field. Caught a lob or two, had a couple of blocks. Really complete game from him. Made a 3 as well, so as complete as it gets for him.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty solid tonight. I was actually shocked he played in this game, considering he left last game with that knee injury. But it was good to see him back on the court, and yeah, he definitely provided some good minutes. He was probably a little better than Donovan was in this game, and I think obviously we did really well in the minutes he was in there. It's just a shame we can't really risk playing him much more. So even when he's having good games and it's really impactful, it's still have to limit his minutes. Is the only negative part about Robert Williams right now.
Yeah, he's a better matchup for Cat. He's a better matchup for a perimeter big that can shoot the cover off the ball and then drive.
Absolutely.
Hopefully Klingon one day, we won't be saying that, where Klingon's the best option in any matchup. Hopefully one day that's the case, but this is not the easiest matchup for Donovan going up against Cat. That's why they didn't have him on Cat. That's why they had him on Josh Hart, but we saw that worked out because the game plan was to let Josh Hart shoot. So I think that's part of the reason why the team was better with Robert Williams in the game. And then Drew Holiday makes his return after 8.5 weeks. I don't even know at this point. First game since November 14th, and it's January 11th. So missed 27 games, got a round of applause from the home crowd, played in 16 minutes. I almost thought, oh man, did they make him available just to not play him because he didn't sub in until about 7 minutes left in the second quarter, which I thought was kind of funny. But he is on a minutes restriction. He plays 16 minutes, so I guess the minutes restriction is somewhere around there, considering this was a close game. It was 2 for 4 from 3, 2 for 7 from the field, though. Got his shot destroyed where he got blocked at the rim, like badly blocked at the rim a couple of times with Cat got one of them. I forget who got the other one. Maybe it was also Cat. Maybe it was somebody else. But just like somebody trailing him down the lane and him not expecting the shot blocker to be trailing his play. But considering it's his first game in 2 months, I expect him to be rusty. It was nice for him to make a couple of threes. Still needs some time to get his legs back, his legs underneath him. So it was an okay game.
Yeah, it was nice to just have him on the floor for a few minutes. Hopefully, as he ramps up, he'll be able to play a little more. Good to see him come down and knock down his first 3 he took. Obviously, 1 for 6 after that, but I thought it was, we'll take it, right? With him being out for so long. I think he's Thiago mentioned this in the post game that they haven't had much time to practice with each other, even if they are able to practice, and so it's going to take some time to reintegrate him.
Yep, for sure. Ryan Rupert played 10 minutes, had 1 point because he split a pair of free throws, didn't have a field goal attempt, had 2 boards, 1 assist. That's it.
Yeah, it's pretty much a non-factor in his minutes. Has to play, obviously, with the injuries, but in this particular game, didn't do a whole lot.
Well, that's a pretty typical Rupert game. That's a pretty typical Rupert style.
I mean, he's had some okay minutes recently, but today is pretty forgettable in his 10 minutes.
Yeah. Those were all the players. Guess what? We get to do Tankathon today.
Well, you did it after a win, so.
Well, we definitely get to do it after a loss.
Yeah.
But I want to show you guys something. This is remaining strength of schedule. Okay. Portland has the easiest remaining strength of schedule, and it's not even particularly close. 0.468 average win percentage on their remaining strength of schedule. Next team is 0.477. All right, so that's a pretty big gap. It's a pretty big gap. So if Portland can get healthy and then take care of business against some opponents that are worse than them, then they should be in a pretty good spot. It is nice to look at this and see that Portland has a tougher strength of schedule. And then you got a couple teams that Portland is chasing, Golden State and Phoenix, top 5 hardest remaining strengths of schedules. So Just hopefully Deni can play somewhat soon. You got this game coming up against Golden State. That's a very important game to try and get. So the Deni thing is just the big issue here, because obviously without him, this team is much, much worse. But as we take a look at the Tankathon picture, the Blazers are currently tied for 13th with Atlanta. So 3.8% chance at moving up, 0.8% chance of the number 1 overall pick. So we're going to do this thing, but I don't know if I've ever remembered Portland being 13th or 14th when we do Tankathons. Like, they're always higher, you know? So this is going to be a little weird.
Yeah.
If they get in play off position, if they get an 8th seed or a 7th seed where they're not in the top 14 and we lose, do we still do Tankathon? I don't know.
Well, there was that did we have Golden State's pick? Was that the pick we traded for Deni? So we did have that year where we had 2 picks. So it didn't.
True, yeah, but we didn't want it to move up.
Yeah, because it was top 4 protected or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I don't know. If we become good, do we still do Tankathon in a loss just to see who wins it? Maybe. Although in the future, you know, we have that 2028 unprotected Orlando first, and we have the 2028 Milwaukee pick swap, the 2029 best of Milwaukee, Boston, Portland. If we get good and play off position in those years, we might be doing Tankathon after wins because we have other picks in the lottery, which will then be a fun Tankathon where we're doing it in wins. Hopefully that will be the case. All right, we'll simulate it. Scroll up from the bottom. At 14 is San Antonio via Atlanta. At 13 is Chicago.
Wow. No way.
All right, I like where we're
crazy
at.
Tankathons, man.
Yeah, let's go, man. Now we finally move up. Now that we ethically tank our way down to 13th best odds. Crazy.
Tied for 13th.
Yeah, not even 13th best odds. Yeah, tied for 13th. That's wild stuff. Hopefully we can get a top 3 pick. At 12 is Milwaukee. At 11 is Memphis. At 10 is OKC via the Clippers. At 9 is Charlotte. At 8 is Dallas. At 7 is Atlanta via New Orleans, moving down 4 spots. So you also have Utah up there. You also have Brooklyn up there. And I don't know the other team. At 6 is Washington or Sacramento. At 5 is Indiana. So you got Washington, you got Brooklyn, you got Utah, and you got Portland in the top 4. At 4 is Utah. Wow, we're not even 4. Not even 4.
Are we like always 4 for
Yeah, we're always 4. So it was the first time I feel like we've been top 3. At 3 is the Brooklyn Nets. Are we going to get a number 1 pick? From 13th, tied for 13th best odds. At number 2 is the Washington Wizards, which means your Portland Trail Blazers get the number 1 overall pick.
Yes, let's go.
That's crazy. Wait. Do I have the soundboard? Let's go. We got the soundboard. I forgot. Let's check this out. Let's go! There you go. There's the soundboard. Fitting time to bring it back. All right, so who?
I'm so loud in that.
I know. That's how it's supposed to be. Oh, well, yeah. I pulled up the stream because I'm going to do a chat poll, but whatever. Let me. Nope.
We're streaming the stream. Wrong
stream. Yeah, I'm streaming the stream. Here we go. All right, chat poll. Who would you take number 1 overall for the Blazers? All right. We got Darren Peterson, we got AJ DeBonsa, and we got Cameron Boozer. Vote in the chat poll. Let me know who you'd take number 1 overall if the Blazers had something play out like what we just saw on Tankathon.
For the record, I do not think there's a wrong answer.
Yeah, I don't know. I think in hindsight there will be a wrong answer, so there probably is a wrong answer. We just don't know it yet, you know?
Yeah, but I think you can make a case for all 3.
47% say AJ DeBonsa, 40% say Darren Peterson. Who would you take right now? Number 1 overall.
Man, um, Peterson shooting for a team that desperately needs shooting, I think would be too much to pass up. But I am also a huge Devonta guy. That's been my guy for like 2 years now. So it'd be really tough to pass him up, considering I think he's got like star potential. I mean, all three of these guys have star potential, but like I feel like he's got that type of game that is the most easy to translate to the NBA. But man, I would have a tough time passing up on Peterson.
Yeah.
And it's kind of overblown because he's been hurt a lot this year. But um, man, he's just such a good player.
I think you absolutely take Peterson. I I would take Peterson and then probably see what you could get on the trade market with a package surrounding Shaden Sharp. I like Peterson's more of a two guard to me.
Hmm.
And I like the combination of Scoot and Peterson more than Peterson and Sharp. I mean, the hope is eventually Peterson will be, an offensive engine that you could play at point. But and then with Deni on the floor, I guess you could probably get away with it long term. But I also feel like Sharp probably has more trade value than Scoot Henderson right now. So I would see what you could get for both of them, I guess. Because you would go into next season like Peterson would play like he's that good, and this team needs shooting. How do you work it with five guards, or do you make Sharp a full time small forward? I don't really know how you figure that out, the minutes thing, but I wouldn't shy away from taking him because of that issue,
Yeah,
because he's that good.
yeah. I think we just add the talent and figure it out later. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cronin has said we just need more talent, right? It doesn't really
yeah,
matter. We just need more talent.
yep, agreed. So I mean, maybe you trade Drew and keep Scoot and Sharp and Peterson. That's your three guards long term. I don't know. I don't know. But like the tough thing for me with trading Scoot is like I just don't think he has much value and he has a lot more upside. So why would you trade him? Like I still believe in his upside, and I believe his upside is greater than anything you would get back for him right now. You would be selling low on him right now just to sell low on him right now. And I like the combination of his upside, Peterson's upside, Sharp's upside. So whichever one of those you keep, or if you keep all two, if you keep all three, and then of course you got Deni in the front court. Long term, I like that.
Yeah. I am curious though, like long term, if you gave the organization truth serum, what they're thinking on Scoot right now, considering he's been out. Is it just a case of can't wait to get him back? Is it that simple, or are they souring on him at all? Like, what's the story
Why
there?
would you sour on a guy for being injured unless you're just souring on him because he's injured?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just curious, like, what their mindset is.
Yeah. Like I think it's insane the way some people have soured on Scoot because he's injured, but it's like because of who he is as a player. Doesn't really make sense to me. Like he's hurt. If you're worried about him being injury prone, that's valid. But he hasn't had an opportunity to show us who he is in year three. Like he hasn't had an opportunity to build upon last year. He put in a lot of good work over the offseason. That work might translate, man. Like I wouldn't be surprised if, he comes back, game 50, struggles for a little bit, finishes the year strong, but is playing limited minutes. And then we trade him during the offseason. He goes somewhere else and he looks like a star. That would not surprise me at all. That honestly, I I don't think that might be the most likely scenario. I don't know if I'd bet on it because there's a bunch of different scenarios and different ways that things can play out, but it kind of feels to me like that's how this thing's going to go. And it's going to be like we got next to nothing back and he goes somewhere else and he turns into a star, much like the Wizards trading Avdija.
Yeah. You know what the most ironic part about that scenario playing out would be?
What's that?
the Blazers didn't want to trade that pick because they were worried he'd be a star.
Yeah.
So if they end up trading him and then he becomes a star, that would be very ironic and obviously bad for the Blazers, considering that they'd be the ones giving him up anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm very bullish on his upside still. I think people are a prisoner of the moment, so when Caleb Love has big games and Scoot's out, then they start saying, we need to look at trading Scoot because we got Caleb Love. Caleb Love's been really good the last 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, however long he's been on the stretch for. But he's still on the season. There's nothing you can point to statistically where he's better than Scoot from last year. And he's 2 to 3 years older. Like, Scoot's three-point percentage last year was better. Scoot's efficiency inside the arc was better. His passing, assist numbers, better. And that was him taking a solid step in year 2. Imagine the step in year 3. Like, Caleb Love's already 25 years old. How many steps does he have left in him? So that's a conversation for me. Like, Scoot still has a lot of room to grow, and I think he's going to grow if he gets the opportunity. Part of the opportunity is him staying healthy. Part of the opportunity is the minutes, which might be tough. It's a tough situation for him. But I just don't like the idea of selling him low. I hate that idea. Whoops. Hate that idea. Best ability is availability. Here's the thing, though. Like, you don't know who's going to be available and who isn't. Like, one freak injury will have you thinking a guy is injury prone, but it's one freak injury. Like, comment in chat says, that's why I hate comparisons like that. Why can't we just celebrate both guys? I mean, if you're talking about two guys for a similar role, that's why they're going to be compared. But I do hate how Scoot isn't even getting the chance to show what he's capable of right now. And every time Caleb Love plays, the reason why Caleb Love's playing is because Scoot is out. And every time Caleb Love plays well, it becomes a knock against Scoot or a time to move on from Scoot because Caleb Love had a good game. Like, I agree. I don't like that. Adam Smith says, we've given Sharp all this time and chances to develop. What about Scoot? He has a more well-rounded game. I mean, Sharp got a second-year rob from him. I think Sharp is a good example of why you give a guy some time. I think Deni's a good example of why you give a guy some time. Sharp still has some things to figure out. But you look at a guy like Deni. Deni wasn't anything remarkable his first 3 years in the league. Now he's a true star. So that's why you got to be a little bit patient with young players.
Yep.
It's pretty obvious what the plan with Scoot is when they trade for Drew and sign Dame, the town fave. Well, if you're going to sell low on Scoot, you can keep Scoot and have those guys and try and win next year. Like, you don't have to choose one or the other now. But if you're going to sell low on somebody like Scoot to accelerate the timeline because you have Drew and Dame, you better accelerate the timeline enough where you're actually having a chance to contend with Dame and Drew and Deni. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't sell low on a young talent and then fall short of what you need to do to justify it, which would be become a contention level team.
Yeah, so it kind of depends on what we're getting back. Like, if he's part of a trade for a player that has a chance of becoming, part of that contention core, or is like a Deni type player that has a chance to break out and be a star, then maybe, but I don't think we do it just to do it either.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, you don't trade him for like a high caliber role player in his prime unless that high caliber role player is an important piece in your team actually being a contender. If you trade Scoot for a high caliber role player but then you don't do enough to build the team up to contend with Dame over the final couple of years of his career, then you're essentially throwing away the future of Scoot, which still could be very bright, for the chance to win a playoff series? Maybe because of a role player like that you could maybe find it somewhere else, you know? So that's just the issue with his trade value being low and people saying to trade him.
Yep.
Anyway, anything else you want to get into on this stream?
No, just nice to have someone back from injury. Hopefully we didn't add to the injury list long term tonight. And man, what a win for the Niners too, man. That was
fun.
That was awesome.
The
defense has stepped up the last 2 weeks somehow, despite them looking awful against Chicago a couple weeks ago, and kept us in these 2 games. And the offense today did just enough. They didn't last week. I thought the season was over. Now you get another crack at Seattle. They're going to be ready for us, but should be a fun game next weekend.
Yeah. Also, Saddest Nation, I'm going to hide that comment since YouTube has given me the option to hide it.
I don't mind.
Nah, I'm not getting into a back and forth with Seahawks fans. George Kittle tore his Achilles today, and I joined a Mariners group chat recently, and there were a bunch of Seahawks fans, and a lot of them were celebrating George Kittle tearing his Achilles, so that pissed me off. So, yeah, shout out to those of you who – that's not a reflection of Seahawks fans or Mariners fans. I'm a Mariners fan. Like, that was just the wrong group chat to be in, I guess. But, yeah, I don't want to hear about it. I'm not going to – if the Niners beat the Seahawks, I'm not going to get on here gloating to you guys about it. And if the Niners lose to you guys, I ain't trying to see nothing in the chat. Even though I know you guys are going to do it. You guys are going to rub it in. If you win, I expect it. It's fair game. But I ain't trying to see it. I don't want to see it, you know? Personally. But yeah. Yeah, most people wouldn't celebrate injuries. If you celebrate injuries, you're just kind of a piece of crap person. So.
Yeah.
Anyway. Too much potential karma involved in that stuff for me. Yeah, like, if you're the 1 seed too, the justification was like, oh, the Seahawks' chances just got higher to make the Super Bowl. If you're the 1 seed, you shouldn't need to root for an injury to a tight end to make the Super Bowl. You're either good enough or not. And we'll see if they're good enough or not. I do still feel somewhat confident that this is going to be a competitive game. We'll see. And we'll see what day it's on. Hopefully it's not on the same day as a post-game show, because I don't want to be pissed off on a post-game show. Anyway.
Don't we play back-to-back both days, so it doesn't matter what
Saturday, Sunday we do?
Don't we? Or was it?
The days on this are off. Yeah, we do play Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
But it is later, so hopefully it's in... Well, it's probably going to be a late game because it's in Seattle.
West Coast, yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. We got a whole week, at least. But yeah. Anyway. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring the post-game show. Use promo code Uprise if you want to get in on a parlay for the College Football Championship, which is coming up in a bit. You got the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. You got college basketball. You got NBA basketball. They also have like Counter-Strike on there if you're into watching professional Counter-Strike. Is it CSGO? I don't know what it is, but you can check it out. You can find out for yourself. Just download the Sleeper app, use promo code Uprise. You'll get a free $20 deposit and a 100% deposit match up to $100. You basically get a free $20 entry. That's free money if you win. If you win. You got to put together a good parlay. None of your own money is required. That's free $20 they're giving you. On an entry, though, if you win. Let me know how it goes if you do. Anyway. We're out of here. We'll be live again on... I need to stop going to the schedule so much, considering the days are still wrong. Today's a Sunday. We'll be live again on Tuesday after the Blazers take on the Golden State Warriors. It's going to be a late postgame show because, well, not a late postgame show in terms of after the game, just a late. It's late in general because the game's going to tip off at 8 p.m., so the postgame show is going to start at like 10:30. So hopefully you can make it for that. Blazers lose. Hopefully Deni's okay. We should get some news tomorrow. I mean, I'll tweet about it. You can follow me on Twitter. Link in the description box below. Hopefully he's not out for too long. But we'll see. Another injury strikes the Blazers, but at least Drew's back. Hopefully he can play more minutes next game because it sounds like we're going to need him as the Blazers take on the Warriors in an important one. The win streak's gone. The Blazers still 19-21, 2 games below 500. We'll see if they can get back to 500. It's like they're climbing a mountain, and that's the peak is 500.
Yeah, right.
But
thanks, everyone, for watching. Appreciate you all. Have a good rest of the Sunday.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We're out of here. We'll catch you next time. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.